Hello and welcome to the Pokemon Soldier Association Latios Division Draft Recap stream. Thank you all for coming out. I truly appreciate that. Hello Arts, New, Bread Pudding, Bilbo, and anyone else who is here viewing in chat. Thanks so much for coming out. I truly appreciate it. So how this is gonna work is we are first gonna go through the entire Scarlet Division, Scarlet bracket in draft order, and then we will go into doing the Violet bracket. So for someone like Arts, you might have to wait to get to your teams until you are near the end, but this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm not going to go full through every single team and break down every single thing about their team, because I do that a little bit more in the power rankings. I go a little bit more deeper into that, but we will talk about a little bits about the team, and I don't want to keep you all here for 3 hours, because we got other things to do today, so hope you're all excited. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notify bell so you always know when we have new content coming to you here at the Soldier Association channel. So let's go ahead and into it. So like I said, first off, we are starting with the Scarlet bracket. I appreciate that, Operator. Thank you for plugging those. I do appreciate it. So this was the Pokemon Scarlet bracket. Not sure why it looks darker on that screen than it does on mine, but I don't know if it's actually dark or not. So thank you guys for coming out. I should appreciate it. So yeah, we're going to start off with the Scarlet bracket. This was 8 coaches. They had their own set of brackets to, their own draft board to choose from. Now I will say, I have some of the Twitter's handles for some of the coaches, not everyone. So if you don't see a Twitter handle for you and you have a Twitter, I do apologize. But it is hard to find some of y'all's Twitters on, like your Twitter handles on Twitter. Some of you just don't have them, so bear with me if you don't see your name on here. I apologize. So, let's go. The first up, we had the Old English Ice Cues as the #1 overall draft pick for the Scarlet bracket. Very interesting team. They had Quavicle, Iron Moth, Tinglu, Dragonite, Corviknight, Abomasnow, Screamtail, Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Haunter. Very interesting team. Quavicle going overall pick 1 when there was definitely things like Iron Valiant and Dragapult and things like that. They did not go with the titular, hey, I'm going to go with my 17-point pick right off the bat, which I don't blame. Sometimes you know what you want, you got to go for it. So I think Quavicle is a really good pick. It is one of their Terra captains along with Jolteon. Who is the other Terra captain? Should have had this prepared. Their other Terra captain was Haunter. So, oh no, it was Vaporeon. They have Vaporeon, not Jolteon. I talked about this in the draft, the power rankings. I felt like Jolteon was a better pick, but I understand why you went with what you did. So, Hey, sometimes, hey, there's that Mon that you really want, and sometimes you need to go for it when you're definitely overall first pick. So, nothing wrong with that. They still had 2 points available if they wanted to grab an 11th pick Mon, but they stuck with the guy. There's definitely some interesting things on this team. The Firewater Grass Core is interesting. Abomasnow did get a buff a bit with how the snow works versus had in a previous gen, so I will give Abomasnow a little bit more credit since they did get that buff, but still a very interesting grass type to go with it. So, next up, we have, like I said, I'm not going to spend too much long on each person, we're just going to go through each. So next up, we have the Dundee Darmanitans with their team of Chiampao, Roaring Moon, Azumarill, Oricorio, Gengar, Orthworm, Armarouge, Electros, Toedscruel, I almost called him Tentacruel, it's Toedscruel, and Grafaiai. Now, he did not draft Oricorio pick 4. He did do some grace period transactions after the fact, and did pick that up. Looking forward to seeing how Abomasnow works in week 1. Oricorio was definitely not his 4th overall pick. If it was, I'd be a little more concerned, but he did do some transactions and did end up picking Oricorio instead. His captains are Azumarill and Armarouge. I think are 2 very solid Terra captains. I think they both will benefit a lot from being able to change their typings. I always forget Armarouge is Fire Psychic, not Fire Ghost. I keep on thinking he's Fire Ghost, but that's Ceruledge. Neither here nor there. I was like, why does he have 2 Ghost types? He only has 1. I'm just stupid. Very interesting team. His has, I think, one of the best steel types in the game in Orthworm. He has some really good speed in Chiampao and Gengar. Grafaiai, I think, is going to be a low tier, like, interesting mon for that Prankster. I think it's really, really sweet. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I think they all have their benefits and what they can do. I think the Oricorios are something that people are probably going to sleep on, since you do get all 4 different forms of it. You never know what they're going to bring, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do with this team. I don't think it's a bad team. I don't think it's the best team. It's a very interesting team. Next up, we have King Sosa and the LA Infernapes drafting Roaring Moon, Glamora, Torkoal, Annihilate, Espathra, Arboliva, Sandy Shocks, King Gambit, Braviary, and Pikachu. Who needs to remove 1 year on the boots? Exactly. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Very interesting team. I think being able to get Torkoal to pair with the Roaring Moon was very, very good. Arboliva is a pain in my existence. I hate that mon. Picking up Espathra with Annihilate, I think, are a very good pair together because they cover a lot of shows of weaknesses, at least offensively wise, very, very well. Getting a low tier Pikachu pick with just Light Bulb being as good as it is very, very interesting. Overall, pretty solid team, good hazard setting, decent removal. I think Torkoal is one of the best rapid spinners in the game if you are able to draft it, so I give him credit on being able to pick that up. And I think just able to set up the Sun for the Walking Wake is going to be really solid. I believe will benefit with like Solar Beam, I believe it gets, but I could be wrong on that. Well, I'm going to say a lot of names wrong. I am still exhausted, so bear with me. Walking Wake. Yeah. I never said I was perfect at this. Nah, it's canon. It's Walking Moon now. The 3 Terra captains are Glamora, Sandy Shocks, and Pikachu. I'm actually excited to see what he does with Sandy Shocks and Glamora as Terra captains. I don't see those 2 very often being chosen as Terra captains, so I'm actually excited to see what he can do with those. Glamora being able to remove its 4 times weakness to ground, I think is going to be really solid. Sandy Shocks is one of those mons that not a lot of people have really, like, pushed forward with it to make it as good as it probably could be, but I think with what King Sosa can do as a coach, I think he can definitely bring out some positives in that mon. And then I think Pikachu has a 1-point Terra captain is going to be really interesting. I can definitely see him putting in some work with a low-tier Pikachu like that. So, I just noticed a lot of these guys, these first 3 coaches definitely had points to spare, and they had at least 1 more slot, so they could have picked up another low-tier mon, but they ended up not. So next up, we got the Toronto Tinkatinks. We got Palafin, Dragapult, Scizor, Rotom Heat, Hatterene, Serena, Clodsire, Dunsparce, Halusha, Dedenne, and Bombardier. I hope I'm always pronouncing that damn bird's wrong name. Hey, we all judge teams, Salo. We all judge teams. I think it's a very powerful, top tier. Like the first 5 picks are amazing. The bottom 6 are decent. Some are good. Some are not so great. I think able to get Palafin and Dragapult on the same team is a little busted because those two are just 2 mons that are very hard to prep for. You never know how they're going to build it. I think having things like Sizzle and Rotom Heat as good defensive pivot mons, as offensive powerhouses, they just have a lot of good diversity. Hatterene able to bounce back hazards. You don't have I didn't actually mention this in the power rankings. Hatterene having magic bounce I think is really useful because it makes them not want to set up as many hazards, but you do have a decent rapid spinner in Serena. I believe so gets rapid spin. I hope it does. I'm not talking out of my ass. Dunsparce and Clodsire are just 2 bulky mons that are just hard to deal with, and I think they cover their weaknesses very well. Halusha's one of the weird ones. You don't have a terrain setter, so you don't have the ability to break the Unburden on a whim. If Halusha was able to go to a team that had Pincurchin, I think things would have been a little bit different, but just having a fast, hard-hitting, flying, and fighting type is never a bad thing. And then his last 2 mons, I think, were just there because he needed something. Bombardier does get hazards, does get Stealth Rock, so not the end of the world with that one. But I think just, you look at the top 5 mons, this team is going to be very hard to prep for. You're never going to know what they're actually going to bring every single week. And I can definitely see this team, if not being in the top, it's going to get some good kill leaders just out of their top 2 mons. I can see one or both of those being the top 5 kill leaders at the end of the season. Even if they don't make playoffs or they don't do well, those 2 mons are just going to get a lot of kills because you just click a button and things die. This is what they do. Alright, next up, we got the agency, Brooklyn Mantikes. I apologize if I always pronounce your name wrong, so I apologize. We have Iron Jugulis, Iron Treads, Rotom Wash, Iron Leaves, Skelleridge. Did I pronounce that Pokemon's name? Skelleridge, yeah. Florges, Zoroark, Pincurchin, Gastrodon, Samurott, and Muck. The fact that you got 3 of the Iron Mons that get, what's it called? Cork Drive, and pair that with Pincurchin, I think is insane. That's just terrifying that all 3 of these things get Quark Drive and you have the electric terrain. So it's which mon am I worried about going to kill me this week? I think Skelleridge is a really solid Fire Ghost type that, if prepped right, you just have to click a button, something dies. Florges and Rotom are great defensive mons with good utility, whether it's pivot or being a cleric. Gastrodon got hazards. Praise the Lord, Gastrodon got hazards. Gastrodon and Quagsire are 2 mons that I've always wished had hazards but never got it, so I'm very happy to see this. Samurott just went live this past Friday, this past weekend, so no one's really seen how Samurott plays in this meta yet, so I'm excited to see what he can do with the Samurott. And Muck is just one of my favorite mons. I love Muck to death. Never been top tier great mon, but ever since the anime, I've just always been a big fan of Muck. So I'm excited to see what Muck can do now. We haven't had Muck properly in the game, I think, since Generation 7. I don't think it was in yeah, I think that was the last time we saw it, so we never had it at all in Gen 8, even with all the DLCs and everything, so I'm excited for us to see what Muck can do with some of these mons. And a grind and poison type's never a bad thing. But I definitely can see just the Pincurchin going nuts with electric terrain, with his 3 Quark Drive mons. Gonna be solid. I'm just glad I said Iron Treads properly this time. I keep saying Great Treads, I keep saying Iron Tusk. It's been annoying, but I actually said it right this time, so I'm happy. Next up, we got Mexico City Fuecocos. They drafted Garchomp, Goldango, Chi-Yu, Slowbro, Flamigo, Wuchain. I almost Blissey, Talonflame, Komala, Raichu, and Claw Itzer. I think these mons are. Oh, I never even talked about the Toronto Tinkatinks had Scizor and Rotom Heat as Terra captains, and the Brooklyn Mantikes had Iron Leaf, Samurott, and Muck. Didn't even mention that. So this team has Flamingo, Woshen, and Blissey. Now, I completely forgot about the Terra captains. This team is interesting. Like, on paper, it seems to be good. When you deep dive into it, I feel like there are some holes that I would have probably done a little differently. Flamingo is one of those mons that it's being a fighting flying type. Like, you think, oh, it's the next Hawlucha. Not sure about that. I haven't seen anyone go nuts with it yet, so I'm excited to see what they can do with this. Garchomp Goldango, I think, is actually a really interesting pair, because a lot of coaches drafted it. Apparently I was told by some of the coaches that it was because VGC ran Goldango and Garchomp together. This isn't VGC, so I'm not sure like how much they're going to benefit each other in Draft League format, but a lot of teams, like in all 4 brackets, for both brackets and both divisions, there's like 3 or 4 teams total that drafted Garchomp Goldango paired together. I don't get it. We'll see how well you all do with it. I think Chi-Yu as a 3rd round pick is actually insane. I'm surprised it lasted that long. Slowbro, great physical defensive mod. I think that pairs really well with Woshen and Blissey. I will say I don't understand the Blissey being a Terra captain. I would have seen something like Clawitzer or Raichu benefiting more from it. But that's just me. Everyone seems to be going nuts about Woshen with some meme or something like that. I don't get it. But overall, I don't think this is a bad team. There are some holes I think I would have changed a little bit differently, but it's going to be one of those teams that can be a sleeper pick if you don't sleep on them. You'll be surprised what they can do with this team. Next up, the bane of my existence. All right, I talked about it wholeheartedly in the power rankings. If he's here, bro, we got Stink, aka Champaholics, coach of the Mile High Champs, and they drafted a mono fighting team. I don't understand. I don't get it. Why? Like, if you're gonna choose any mono type, why fighting? You have no resistance to flying, no resistance to psychic, no resistance to fairy. Like, one mon covers all 3 of those as a neutral, and that's Lucario. I don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't. His Terra captains are Slitherwing, Gallade, and Riolu. I think the Slitherwing, Gallade are really good. I think Primeape is a really solid pickup as a low tier mine with Eviolite. I'm excited to see how bulky it can be. I don't understand why y'all let Iron Valiant and Great Tusk go to this man. It's Great Tusk, Iron Valiant, Iron Hand, Slitherwing, Gallade, Breloom, Lucario, Primeape, Riolu, and Hariyama. Why did Iron Valiant go round 2? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. But y'all did it to yourselves. Iron Hands is not a resistant to flying because it's electric fighting. It is a neutral hit. I never said all of them were weak to those things. There's no actual legitimate resist to any of those typings. To flying, psychic. Like, if you drafted a dark type, at least you have an immunity to psychic. But not even dark type. I don't even know if there is a dark fighting type in this gen. Scrafty's not here right now. I wonder if Scrafty's going to be in the DLC. I don't know. Yeah, I did talk to a Praetor about it. As long as he doesn't bring Lucario and Riolu to the same fight, I don't believe it's gonna would hurt the species clause. As long as it doesn't bring both to the same fight. But he did bring Iron Hands and Hariyama. I need to Gallade and Iron Valiant. So, like, it's just weird. I talk more about this in the power ranking, so when that comes out on Sunday, definitely check that out. Earthstreet's coming with home, that's it. Bruh. Busteam's going home. I mean, hey, I will say, he could 6-0 someone with the right setup. I'm not saying it's a bad team, I wish he drafted just drafted one thing that wasn't fighting type that just helped with his weaknesses would have been fine. But, alright, I'm going to go on a tangent here. I go on my tangent in the power rankings. Go watch the power rankings when it drops. You'll see my tangent on this team. Next up, this is the end of the Scarlet bracket. We have the Liverpool FC, which I was calling a Liverpool FC for the longest time, and I looked at the logo and I was like, that says Liverpool. I'm an idiot. I just can't read. But this is Nico Ryan. He has Miascarada, Slow King, Hisuian Zoroark, Klefki, Noivern, the Tauros Paldean Fire one. I guess Tauros Paldean Blaze is the official name of it. Iron Bundle, Mudsdale, Scyther, Glaceon, and Luxray. His Terra Captains are the Noivern, Scyther, and Luxray. I think 3 solid Terra Captains there. Iron Bundle went 7th. I don't understand this. It was banned in the PBAL. You all talked about, alright, let's unban it. Does not deserve to be banned. Let's unban it. And you all let it go 7th. I don't understand. You all made it seem like the thing was busted, and you let it go 7th. I don't get it. But whatever. I think it's a really solid team. I think there's some really good benefits from it. He does get chilly reception, but he should know that he can't run Snow Cloak on his Glaceon, so I hope he knows that. I think Mudsdale is a solid physical defensive type. There isn't a lot of, like, outside of Slow King, there's not, like, a crazy amount of special defense, with a good HP and all that. Like, Klefki can be special defensive, but doesn't have the greatest HP stat. So this is a very interesting team. I think Miascarada, Miascarada going in round 1 at the very end of the draft is very interesting. I mean, I could have seen it going in round 2 if definitely if they didn't pick it up. Someone was going to pick it up in round 2. So I think this. Why am I getting a damn spam call? This team I feel like has some holes. Like no hazard removal really, but. Has a lot of hazards. So, like, has 2 defoggers, but none of them really want to come in on rocks. Luckily, heavy duty boots, and we don't have a limit on items in this league, so heavy duty boots is going to be rocked a lot by this team. And that's the other thing that I didn't really mention in the power rankings. Your main way of getting rid of hazards is defog, but you have one of the best hazard statters in Miascarada with Protean, and gets Toxic Spikes and Spikes. But yet, you'll get rid of your own hazards when you try to get rid of hazards on your side. So, like, I felt like a Wrap Spinner would have been really good for this team, personally. But, not a bad team. I think speed teams are pretty decent. I'll go more into this when we get into the draft, to the power rankings. Next up, we go into the Violet bracket, which is Spine Chili Gengar is the #1 overall pick in this Violet bracket for the Scarlet Division. They have Chimpao, Garchomp, Goldango, Rotom Heat, Hatterene, the Paldean Water Tauros, Jolteon, Braviary, Knucklestack, Quillfish, and Toedscroll. Now, I need to double check something, because... Where's it at? Oh, it's different teams. Okay. I was checking to see, I was like, did Rotom and Hatterene literally go with them again? Okay. I will say, it's interesting to see, like, Rotom Heat Hatterene got paired on one team and got paired on another team. And the same thing with Garchomp, Goldango got paired on one team, got paired. It's just, those, like, just are trying to stick together a lot for some reason. The tier captains for this are Hatterene, Tauros, Paldean Water, and Jolteon. I will say, I talked about this a lot in the power rankings. I think Jolteon as a Terra captain should have been higher points. It's better than Hidden Power, better than Signal Beam, and you get stabbed for those moves now instead of just having, oh, well, you get a 60-based Hidden Power Ice. Well, now I get Terra Blast as a Ice type and get that stab Ice move. So, I definitely think 6 points was a steal for Jolteon. I definitely want to talk about moving that up in future seasons. So, I'm very happy to see Jolteon get drafted and get put as a Terra captain because I think it's a little good. Overall, this team, I think, is really solid. A lot of... I'm waiting for the day that Rotoms... I missed the day when Rotoms had Defog. I had one of the Rotoms in another league. I was like, man, I really wish I had Defog right now. Quillfish, I think, is a great grounded poison type. Especially getting it low part of the draft, near the end. Intimidate, bulky, with spikes and toxic spikes. Destiny Bomb, stuff like that. Chimpao is a menace. Like, the thing is fast, hits hard. Yeah, Jolteon was only 6 points. I don't understand. It should have been like 8 or 9. Like with Terra Captain. It's insane. Insane. I think Champao is amazing. Going overall, pick 1, I can definitely see it. It was either between that and I think Walking Awake were like the top 2 that if I was number 1, I would have gotten it. Yeah, like, it's mainly just Garchomp and Goldengo getting paired a lot. I think there was a team in Latios bracket Latios division that did Champao, Garchomp, Goldengo, I think. It just seems like those 3 are just, I mean, they work well together. Like, they cover each other's weaknesses very well. I think Braviary's, again, one of those, like, sleeper picks. Just as a decent flying normal type. You got this, Ryan. I think you do well with Iron Bundle. I'm just surprised it just lasted till that late. But yeah, I think this team is really solid. I think Knuckle, I think that was the big thing. Knuckle is really the only hazards, only rock setter, unless you're gonna bring Garchomp as your hazards every single week as a defensive Garchomp. If you don't bring defensive Garchomp and you don't have Knuckle, I don't see Stealth Rocks coming up. But you have Hatterene to sort of maybe bounce back their Stealth Rock to make up for it. Who knows? Next up, we got Pekatonica Fire Scrolls. I hope I pronounced that right. I have no idea if I did. They drafted Walking Wake, Torkoal, Yaskadada, Sylveon, Talonflame, Bisharp, Mudsdale, Espeon, Lycanroc Dusk, Flareon, and Pikachu. Now, I will say with this, all of their Terra Captains are the evolutions, Sylveon, Espeon, and Flareon. Very interesting. Very interesting. I think getting Torkoal with Walking Wake, very solid. We saw that with the previous team. Had that. Pairing that with 2 decent hard-hitting fire types, getting some boost in the sun with Talonflame and Flareon. Bisharp with Eviolite. I haven't seen anyone really utilize that yet. I'm excited to see what people can do with it. When they announced King Gambit as an evolution for Bisharp, I was like, ooh. Same thing with like Primeape. I really want to see those things with Eviolite put in some work. Mudsdale, I talked about earlier, great physical defensive mon. Lycanroc, really solid. Meowscarada, really good. Like this is where Meowscarada is really good because you have a Rapid Spinner. You're not going to rely on Defog. Having 3 evolutions, I'm not sure how well it's going to go. But let's see how it goes. I mean, they all sort of do different things, so I'll give the Fire Scrolls credit because Flareon's a physical, Espeon's special, and then Sylveon's more of a bulky utility Wish Passer, and then can be offensive. So they all do different things. Then where if they drafted like let them draft Vaporeon and Sylveon, and that's it. It was like, but they both do similar things. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. I'm excited to see what this team can do. And we saw a low tier Pikachu, because Pikachu! So, let's go ahead and go on to the next team. We got the Atlanta Talonflames drafting the Iron Moth, Cyclizar, Annihilate, Garganacl, Gardevoir, Roshan, Vaporeon, Lucario, and Gengar. Now, you should run 4. Well, there was one of them right here got drafted by the Atlanta Talonflames. I'm never going to doubt your Eevees. This is the only team in the entire Latios division that drafted 9 Mons. They definitely utilized their points to make sure they got 9 Pokemon to draft with. I did talk a little bit how I felt like they probably didn't need Gengar. They probably could have dropped that and picked up 2, like, mid-tier picks. Point-wise to help benefit some things, but we go a little more into that. Yeah, thank God you can't tear. But Shed Tail is legal, so drafting Cyclizar to pair with a Gardevoir, a Annihilate, a Iron Moth, a Lucario, a Gengar, just to get behind a sub, this thing is going to be disgustingly good. Like, a lot of these mons just get behind a sub and they go for another setup move and they might just sweep the game. Like, I feel like all their goal is, hey, let's just sweep. Let's just sweep. So their Terra Captains are Gardevoir and Woshen. Joe does go fast. So it's going to be very interesting to see how well this team goes. Like I said, I go a little more in details. Some, I think, changes I would recommend for this team, but we'll see what happens. I'm interested to see what Woshen can do as a Terra captain. I did mention a lot in the power rankings. I didn't really mention it here much. I'm not the biggest fan of defensive Terra typing. Like, changing your Terra typing so that you can live a hit, so then you can dish out really powerful damage or something is one thing. But, like, hey, I'm a defensive Pokemon. I'm just going to Terra type so I can sit here longer as a defensive mon. Not the biggest fan of. Glaceon deserves Trailblaze. You're wrong. You're not wrong. Talon plays with the fast team. Sonic style. Gotta go fast. I mean, if you don't name Cyclozar Sonic, there's a problem. But we'll see what happens. I don't think this is a bad team. I don't think it's the best team in the entire division. I definitely think there could be some changes, but I'm not going to go too much into it right now. I go more into it in the draft recap. Next up is the Glamorgan Veil Great Tusks. They have Palafin, Glamora, Orthworm, Ditto. I almost blanked on damn Worm's name. Grimmsnarl, Volcarona, Donphan, Noivern, Gallade, Ice-Q, and Firegraph. I think that's how you properly pronounce it. I don't know. Very interesting team. I think Glamora and Orthworm paired together are very solid. Because Glamora doesn't want to eat any sort of ground-type hits, but then Orthworm's there to be like, hey, yum, soak up that ground-type hit. Ditto early is interesting. You probably could have waited on Ditto. But I do think Ditto is a really solid mon to pick up. I mean, it makes people have to prep. People have to prep for Ditto. Make sure that they don't get reverse swept on, so pretty good. Grimmsnarl is great for getting screens up for things like Palafin and Volcarona to set up. Same thing with Gallade. Donphan, one of the best rapid spinners and hazard setters in the game. There's a lot of hazards on this team. You have Glamora, Orthworm, and Donphan that just set up hazards, set up hazards, set up hazards, set up hazards. So I think it's very, very good. And Ice-Q is an annoyance. Ice-Q is one of their Terra captains, so it's going to be interesting to see how that pairs with its ability. You have Noivern and Glamora, also your Terra captain. I think Noivern as a Terra captain is really good because it gets a lot of good coverage moves. And then you have Firegraph. I have no idea what this mon can do. It's going to be really, really interesting. So, next up is the Manchester Park Slowpokes, the commissioner of the league. He drafted Dragonite, Great Tusk, Hisuian Zoroark, Azumarill, King Gambit, Cinderace, Serena, Luxray, Spidoposs, Orticordio, and Spoodle. Now, this is a very interesting team. There are some good benefits from this team, some not so good benefits. The fact that Cinderace dropped all the way to 6 was really good. Wait, hold on, I need to see something real quick. Did a certain mon get drafted at all? No, wow, the other Protean mon didn't get drafted at all. Holy crap. Has some definitely interesting hazard setting. I mean, you have Spidoposs that sets up spikes, dark spikes, and sticky webs. Man, a lot of hate for this man. It's a very interesting team. Like, 2 physical hard-hitting mons in Dragonite and Great Tusk. I'm sort of glad that Dragonite can't Terra, because that thing is insane. You have, like, Azumarill and King Gambit that are really solid mons. Their Terra captains, by the way, are the Azumarill, Luxray, and Orticordio. I'm interested to see Orticordio as a Terra captain because you have the different typings already that it can get, and now you have options of Terra typing as well. It's gonna be interesting. I think Spoodle, I think, was just a random pick they wanted to pick up. I don't... Sure, I guess Focus Sash Prankster is a thing. I guess. I'm more impressed with the Fairy Dragon Steel Core than I am with the Fire Water Grass Core. I think Dragonite, King Gambit, and Azumarill are very Fairy Dragon Steel Core than Azumarill, Cinderace, Serena as a Fire Water Grass Core. That's just me personally. But this team, I think, is really going to benefit from the Hisuian Zoroark able to use the illusion to sort of trick their opponent. I think that's going to be seen a lot in that. So, it's going to be interesting. I do like seeing Luxray as another Terra captain. I think this thing benefits a lot from it. I'll just say whoever put Luxray as a Terra captain, please don't turn into a fire type when you have guts, and don't let your freaking Flame War pop. I swear to God. If someone does that, I'm gonna laugh. So we shall see what happens. Next up, we got the LA Lucarios. They drafted Iron Valiant, Iron Treads, Rotom Wash, Scizor, Baxcalibur, Armor Rouge, Brute Bonnet, the Salamence, Persian, and Murkrow. Very interesting team. I think Iron Valiant going this late in round 1, somewhat shocking. Some duplicate typings there with like Iron Tread and Scizor. Their Terra Captains are the Scizor, Armor Rouge, and Persian. I think Persian will benefit a lot. In certain models like Persian, I wish the Terra Blast was base 60 power so that Scizor and Persian could get Technician boosters from them, but it is what it is. Overall, I think this team is very interesting. I talk more about it in the power rankings. I love Murkrow as a like. I always feel like Murkrow deserves to be higher than 1 point. I mean, it is a VGC monster. And granted, there's a lot of moves that it gets that you want to run in VGC you can't run in Draft League because it doesn't work. But I still think like Prankster deserves to be a little bit higher when you're something like Murkrow. I think Murkrow is definitely better than Strudel, personally. But like, I think Persian's going to be really... Because it does get a lot of weird coverage being a normal type from Gen 1. So, I think that pairing that with Terra Captain is really solid. Armor Rouge... I'm not sure which is better, Armor Rouge or Ceruledge. And this entire bracket... I don't even think this entire... Did anyone draft Ceruledge? Like, at all? That's my question. Ceruledge ever get drafted? No, and no. So, Ceruledge never got drafted, so I'm curious if people think they didn't draft Ceruledge mainly for the reason they thought Armor Rouge was better. I don't know. I never really tell which one was better versus the two, personally. But it'll be interesting to see what they can do. Yeah, I think Tailwind is really solid. But I do feel like Murkrow probably should have been like 2 or 3 points. I think 1 point's a little low. Next up, we got the Seattle Sigalifs. We have Quavicle. Can never pronounce the damn duck's name. Dragapult, Corviknight, Chi-Yu. I've mixed those up. Whatever. Clodsire, Dunsparce. Why is Clodsire and Dunsparce being drafted? What's with all these pairs? I don't get it. Screamtail, Electros, Leafeon, and Dundozo. This is the second pair that we've seen that was drafted in this entire division that 2 different teams drafted the exact same 2 mods. I don't get it. Doesn't value as needs that Strudel comment. Wow, that's just rude. The top 3 picks, insane. 4, 5, and 6, and 7, insane bulk. Like, really good bulk. I think Leafeon's a great mine. Leafeon's my favorite evolution. Just gonna say it. But Quackable, Clodsire, and Leafeon as the Terra Captains, I think, are really solid. Clodsire, again, I'm not the biggest fan of, like, defensive Terra typings. So, it'll be interesting to see what they can do with that. This team is gonna be hard to break down. There's a lot of bulk on it. I feel like there's more bulk than there are offensive pressure. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do with this team. It'll be interesting to see how people prep to try to deal with this. Mudsdale and Meow were also paired in both. Yeah. See, that one I missed because they weren't like right next to each other. Some of these were drafted right next to each other, so that's why it stood out to me more. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how people prep to break this team down. Because like I said, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are just bulk city. And then you also add in things like Leafeon has really good physical defense and Dundozo. It's going to be very hard to break down. It's a very fat team. So let's see, can Dashing Sceptile actually utilize this team well? Or will the opponents that they have be able to prep really well against them? Who knows? We're now to our final pick, our final coach. It is the Rustboro City Rejects, coached by Arts. We have Roaring Moon, his mascot, because he changes his mascot every time he gets whatever his first round draft pick is. So Roaring Moon, Iron Leaves, Arcanine, Slowbro, Fortress, Florges, Pink Urchin, Iron Bundle, Halucha, and Palisand. Now, again, I don't know why you all let Iron Bundle go to 8th round. Y'all wanted this thing to be unbanned, and then you drafted it really late. I want to bash my head into a wall with you guys. You guys you purposely just want to torture me. I think getting Pincurchin for this team is really solid, with Iron Leaves, Iron Bundle, and Holucha all benefiting from the electric terrain. I think that's really, really solid. Their Terra Captains are Iron Leaves and Arcanine. Really utilizing those 25 points very well. I drafted Roaring Moon. I can never utilize it to its fullest advantage, so hopefully he does better with it than I did. I think Slowbro, Fortress, and Florges are really good defensive, mons. Really good cleric use. Decent hazard setting. Decent switching around utility options. Palisand to pair along with that, I think works really, really well. Then you have things like I said, Holucha, Iron Bundle, and Iron Leaves. Really benefiting from that electric terrain is really, really good. I'm excited to see what people can do with this. Yeah, I mean, I go more in talking about this team and what I like and don't like about it in the power rankings. So, yeah, but I think this is one of the more solid teams, a much better over-rounded team, in my opinion. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That is the entire Latios division, Scarlet and Violet bracket. So, definitely, I'll have a link to all their channels. I should have put there before I started the thing, but I will have all the links to all the coaches, so make sure you go subscribe to them. Make sure you go check out all their videos, and stick around. In a couple hours, we'll be doing the Latios division and talking about their teams. But yeah, thank you all for coming out. I should appreciate that. If you have not hit that like button, make sure you do, because that helps us move our video up the algorithm. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notify bell so you never miss out on a video that we have coming to the channel. And let me know in the comments. You can put it in the chat too, but let me know in the comments if you're watching this post after the fact. What team do you think is the overall best that was shown today? And who do you think is going to, out of the Latios division, as of now, just based off the team on paper, which team is going to win the entire league? Let me know. I think this would be a really fun season. I think there are a lot of interesting teams. And a lot of these coaches are going to have fun. I think, in my opinion, this team is much more fun to play around with versus the what it was in Gen 8. So I'm excited to see what people can do with this. So thank you all for coming out. I truly appreciate that. And we will see you all in a few hours for the Latios division. Peace.